zato ker se mi je zdela takšna zanimiva povezava z umetnostjo, ne takšna, ki bi jo čisto vsak dan uporabljali oziroma tako pogosto pri uri matematike, pa neka nova izkušnja.
Hello, I'm a Slovenian teacher from primary school of Litija. Our school actively participated in developing many of the activities and materials introduced in free online platform for learning science through art. As teaching experts, we try to provide a teacher plan which can be used as a whole, or teachers can choose some fragments of it, such as picking an idea or activity and skipping the rest of the material. We see project's advantages in cross-curricular connections to other subjects, especially art. Connections with art can help pupils with a sense of art get more engaged in math and science lessons. We also like that lesson plans are very diverse and offer different types of activities. Most of them are planned as an inquiry-based learning approach with STEM elements and with less frontal work as possible. The appealingly designed platform offers an extensive database of ideas for teaching science in person or even for distance learning. There are a lot of excellent ideas for motivational stage, which usually takes place at the beginning of a lesson. Not only that every lesson tries to link the scientific explanation with art, it also offers examples of everyday life problems which give meaning to learning topic. Our pupils love short video material and gamified activities such as quizzes. These resources improve the capacity of teachers to deliver online classes and implement new approaches to teaching and learning. However, our school system is quite rigid with extensive curricula, which means that we can't afford to spend time connecting all the learning topics with art in regular classes. A lot of lesson plans have very interesting and creative activities that require quite some time. Nevertheless, after testing the activities, our teachers stated that many of them are suitable for supplementary lessons, extracurricular activities, and also for work with gifted pupils. In addition, we believe that the project's platform is an excellent database of lesson plans for private schools or learning centers that have fewer limitations concerning time or curricula. Lessons are planned to show that learning science is valuable and meaningful, along with encouraging pupils and teachers to embrace different media in online learning experience. The platform, including lesson plans, is available in 4 different languages and offers a complete online learning experience for free.
Here you can see one of the most beloved painting in Finland. It's Fighting Capercaillis, and it's painted by Ferdinand von Wright. There were actually 3 von Wright brothers, and all of them were known as bird painters, but this painting is absolutely the most famous of them. It was painted in 1886, and this museum, Atheneum Art Museum, was opened to the public in 1888, and it was purchased here, and it has been seen here since then. And it was also copied very soon to all kinds of publications, school books, and so on. But I guess that the reason why it has been so popular so long time is that Finns have actually very close relation to nature. It has to be remembered that the Finnish people lived in, they were agrarian people, lived in the countryside till 1960s, and many are still spending their summers in summer cottages in the midst of nature.
So there's chemistry and biology in this picture, and also biochemistry. So this is a courtship scene. There are 2 males and 1 female in the background. The courtship season begins usually in March or April and ends in May or June. And adult males, they are very competitive. They are strongly territorial and occupy habitat of 50 to 60 hectares for living. It's a huge area of land to keep, and they can be very aggressive when they defend the territory. So if there's more than one male on the scene, it usually means a fight, and it's the winner of the fight who is then selected and engages in copulation with the females and contributes to reproduction. So what explains this behavior? Capercaillies, as humans, are diurnal animals, and there's a circadian clock as well as a calendar clock in the brain for diurnal animals. And this intrinsic internal clock follows the changes in the amount of daylight and changes in temperature, and reacts and changes behavior. So in the springtime, this information tells to the brain that it's time to produce more two key hormones from the brain, and they are secreted in the circulation. So these two key hormones are luteinizing hormone LH and follicle stimulating hormone FSH. So their levels increase, and these changes increase the levels of testosterone, which is secreted from the reproductive organs, the sex organs. And it's this high level of testosterone that changes behavior to be more aggressive. For most males, these changes are within a normal range, but for 1% of the males, the testosterone levels can be too high, extremely high, and they are very aggressive, and they may die from because of their attacks. But then during the summer months, this hormonal surge declines, and the living becomes more peaceful for reproduction until the autumn, when there's some of these fights again for the space for winter time, till the next spring, when this reoccurs again, spring after spring.
So the OTHA methodology really differs from all the other projects, initiatives that we have tried, because it is a truly interdisciplinary method of looking at, looking at art and looking at science. So for us as an art museum, this was, a new experience that differed from our usual work, because we look at art from the perspective of, visual composition, its story, iconography, its, socio-political context. But this allowed us to look at art in a scientific STEM context. So when it comes to our educational programming, the OTA project really enhanced and diversified the way we do outreach to schools, to pupils, and to other people. We have the experience of, conservation restoration workshops or lectures, of them being very popular, and this was really sort of another step in that direction of connecting art and science. So this kind of an innovative, different approach, of course, meant that both the curators, museum educators, and conservation restoration specialists had to approach their subjects in a different way, because we are used to looking at a work of art from, really cultural perspective or from really hard science perspective. It meant that we were thinking about them in terms of the underlying trends, methods, thinking that went into a work of art. That may be in terms of mathematics, of approach to the natural world, chemistry, or physics. So for the National Gallery, the participation in this kind of an Erasmus project was very important, because it allowed us to look at our collection, at our art in a new, innovative way. It allowed us to really practice this kind of diagonal thinking, of thinking also in terms of broader aspects of our collection, of what we hold, protect, and represent. It allowed us to work with organizations of different types, of other museums, of schools, institutes, which really brought a new perspective, a new mode of thinking. So I most definitely would recommend other museum institutions to work with schools, to work with institutes, to work with scientific museums, to shed a new light on their collections.
No niin, hyvä. Kiitos, kiitos. Ole Kandelin can be considered as a pioneer of Finnish abstract art, even though his destiny was to die of tuberculosis already at the age of 26 in 1946. His aim was to be a kind of avant-gardist or forerunner in Finnish art history, in that sense that he would lead the way to both to abstract, to non-representational art, and to a kind of surrealist art, which is based on a dream world and subconsciousness. Kandelin had opportunity to go to Sweden to take care of his health, because there were better conditions, of course, and better sanitary conditions and so on. So he got especially interested there about abstract art, non-representational art, like Juan Miro's art was one idol for him there. And he even managed to organize an exhibition there, but just before that he came back to Helsinki and unfortunately died there and was not able to see this exhibition, which was held in Stockholm in 1946. Yes, how I see it, I have always thought that it's a kind of Kandelin's alter ego in this painting, so it's himself imagining that he balances on the thin line, thin rope, on life and death. And it's interesting that the figure there in the painting is dressed as a harlequin, which we know from Italian tradition, Commedia dell'arte tradition. And in this tradition and in this context, harlequin is a person who is kind of a stupid or come from modest background, but is a very smart figure, and he always finds himself in complicated situations, but also always somehow can manage to cope with them and get out of these tricky situations. It's maybe only my own interpretation, but when we know that it's connected to year 1944 when Finland fought with Soviet Union in this continuation war and had to give up there, and there was a threat that Finland will be occupied by Soviet Union as it had already happened elsewhere in Eastern Europe. So I think that there may be some of these worries and feelings about what will happen to us and how are we going to cope with this situation. So I think that it's a kind of an existential emotions involved there, I guess, and I think that I'm not sure if I'm the only one to make this kind of interpretation, but I think that it somehow illustrates those feelings.
Mathematics is found everywhere where you will be looking for it. There is a famous quote attributed to the natural philosopher Galileo Galilei from about 400 years ago, which says that the laws of nature are written in the language of mathematics. In the middle of this painting, there is a slightly curved rope. The shape of the rope is determined by its tendency to minimize energy. In this case, in particular, the potential energy in the gravitational field of the Earth. Once we are aware of this principle coming from physics, the rest is actually mathematics. Mathematically, finding the shape that minimizes energy is an optimization problem that can be solved by so-called calculus of variations. There are some constraints, namely the fixed ends of the rope and possibly the fixed length of the rope. However, the rope might also stretch a little. In this case, the quantity to be minimized is the sum of the gravitational potential energy and the elastic deformation energy related to the stretching of the rope. These two, to some extent, compete against each other, in the sense that in order to minimize the gravitational energy, the rope and the walker's body should lie as low as possible, whereas to minimize the deformation energy, the rope should stretch as little as possible. From the point of view of an observer, the performance in the painting is a somewhat paradoxical combination of apparent effortlessness on the one hand and the feeling that I couldn't do that myself on the other hand. And this is sometimes quite the same in mathematics. Rope walking is difficult, mathematics is difficult. But this is not a reason to give up. When you recognize that something is difficult, you will understand that learning it will require a lot of practice. And then in time, something that seemed difficult at first will become a little easier. But then there is always the next level to aim at. In fact, the name of this painting is The Rope Dancer, but the person in the painting is not dancing. Not yet. Perhaps that's the next level that the person is aiming at.
Welcome to the OTA platform. This video will navigate you through our platform, especially designed to support the teaching and learning of science through art. So, if you are a maths, chemistry or physics teacher, you are in the right digital space. Let us first briefly introduce our project, before navigating the platform. The OTA project aims to support the teaching of science through art, to equip the teachers of primary, secondary education with an innovative methodology for their online and offline teaching, to offer instant access to innovative learning material, which combines the topics of science curricula with art, to make teaching and learning of science more interesting and create positive learning experience, by promoting the value of science and art, to develop the confidence of students and prevent their isolation and social exclusion experienced during the pandemic. 6 partner organizations from Slovenia, Cyprus, Italy and Finland have been working for 2 years on the OTA project. Let's see how you can use our platform. In the main menu, you will find the 3 results produced: a needs analysis, the OTA methodology and a repository of 101 activities on science topic. If you do not wish to navigate in English, you can choose your language from the language menu on the right. By clicking on the needs analysis, you can read about the main results of our research, the main challenges and needs of science teachers and pupils in Slovenia, Cyprus, Italy and Finland. To be able to develop relevant and useful methodology and material, we first analyzed all national curricula of maths, chemistry and physics and identified the common topics across the countries. Then, we collected some data about main challenges and needs from the literature, as well as from interviews and surveys with science teachers. You can have a look at the results of our research by clicking here. You can choose the chapter you are interested in by clicking on the table of content. Now back to the main menu, you can also learn more about the methodology we have used to create the activities. Our methodology is based on 2 core principles. The 3-stage model is about 3 steps to follow during your teaching. Stimulating pupils' motivation by introducing a specific science topic in connection to an everyday issue. Encouraging pupils to investigate and experiment on the topic. And consolidating the knowledge acquired by evaluating pupils through team activities, questions, quizzes, games. The STEAM method focuses on interdisciplinary teaching, combining science and art. Using this method will help your pupils increase their imagination, motivation and creativity, develop problem-solving and critical thinking skills. You can find out more about our methodology by clicking here. Choose the chapter you are interested in from the table of contents. Now let's move to the more practical aspect of our platform. In the main menu, you will find the option, Activities. This is a repository of 101 activities on 61 topics in maths, physics and chemistry. Click on the subject you teach and you will have access to a range of activities classified according to the topics of the curricula. Let's say I am a chemistry teacher. The school year has just started and I am looking for new interesting ways of teaching about laboratory equipment and safety. I can click on chemistry and then find the topic of the curriculum I want to teach from the menu, in this case, general and safety. Here I see 6 different activities I can choose from. I can download, adjust them accordingly and use them in class or online. Remember, all activities are translated in Greek, Slovenian, Italian and Finnish. All you need to do is choose a language from the language menu on the right. On the menu, right top of the page, there is also an option, e-service. Here you can find the contact details of the partners and schools involved in the development of the material. We hope you find the OTA material useful and practical for your teaching. You can find more information on the project on our website. Follow us on Facebook for more news related to science and art.
Thank you.